Buffalo Bills defeated the New England Patriots last night, 24-10. Notable fantasy impact players: Josh Allen, 16 points last night. He was 22 of 33, 223 yards and 2 tutties. We also saw James Cook lead the backfield. I don't know if we want to say lead the backfield, but definitely led the backfield in terms of fantasy production. 14 carries, 64 yards, 6 receptions, 41 yards, 16 and a half fantasy points. Hopefully he was in your lineup. If not, I understand. Aaron, let's start right there. We'll get to everybody else in just a second, but I did want to start with James Cook, because his touches were much more noticeable and much more frequent than Devin Singletary, who was the presumed number one guy in this backfield heading into this game. But James Cook, 14 carries, 6 receptions versus Devin Singletary's 13 carries and 0 receptions in that game. So a little bit different of a margin there between those two running backs. I had a buddy last night tell me that he wished he started James Cook, and I was like, I don't think you could have predicted this. Like, this is one of those things where it sucks that he's on your bench when this happens, but he's most likely on your bench for a good reason this week. Do we have to start viewing this backfield a little bit differently now with James Cook and Devin Singletary moving forward?
I think it depends. I really think it depends. And I don't have the snap counts from last night yet. So I'm not sure what percentage of snaps, but for the most part, Devin Singletary's been playing about 70% of the snaps. And that's been the case for the past 5 weeks, at least 5 weeks before or after the bye week. So I'm not so quick to say that. I think last night was more of a case on DFS plays was a great opportunity to play James Cook, especially after the week that he had before, because you saw the touches starting to increase, especially in the passing game. You saw he was able to get 5 targets the week before, another 6 targets last night. I think that's where you're most excited about James Cook. The 14 carries was the most he's had all season. He did have an 11 carry game back against Cleveland. I think he's definitely taken over the number 2 role. I think we can all agree there. He's now the number 2 back. They moved on from Zach Moss. They brought in a Nyheim Hines, but he hasn't really seemed to kind of fit in there yet. And I think they traded for
Nyheim Hines for special team play. Sorry to interrupt you, but that he has been that has been the key. I have had Nyheim Hines on my bench, hoping, because I had him when he was in Indianapolis, and I dropped him this week, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. If he's just a special teamer. Go on. Sorry.
He's not a thing. And again, it just seems like they're more comfortable. And it might have just been a product of them trying to get rid of Zach Moss and, hey, let's get a running back that we can add some depth with back, keep the same depth, and add a special teams player. That's exactly probably what it was. But you've seen he's taken over the RB2 in that backfield at least. And you have to like the upside. Remember, Devin Singletary is a free agent at the end of the year. So what do we always see with rookies? They usually, especially rookie backs, that are trying to be incorporated as maybe the future, they start getting more and more touches as the season goes on. So this is not surprising that the touches and the volume have gone up. I don't know if I'm ready to say I can trust that going forward, but I damn sure was excited about last night, regardless of how the output. And I don't think the output is ever going to be special. And I said this at the beginning of the season. I don't know that they are ever going to change what they do in Buffalo to become, hey, we're going to turn around and hand it off. But if you can get 14 touches out of the backfield carries and get 6 targets, you're going to have high value in that Bills offense because they know how to move the ball. They have Josh Allen. You're going to get some opportunities in the red zone. So I like James Cook even more now from a dynasty perspective going forward. But for the remainder of the season, I would still temper my expectations and not be so quick to put him as somebody that's going to help you in the fantasy playoffs. If you're desperate, sure, why not? Let's see it another week next week. Let's see if he can duplicate that production. But still, I'm probably leaning elsewhere when I'm talking about this is who I trust in my fantasy playoffs in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and when you look at you asked about the snap percentage. Devin Singletary, 44% of the snaps. James Cook, 43% of the snaps. Literally just 1 snap off for both those guys. So it was definitely even along the way for those 2 running backs here. Your fantasy playoffs.
That's actually a telling sign. It's a very telling sign that it's starting to become more 50-50. If that's the case, there might be some relevance down the stretch. We have 1 more week before fantasy playoffs, or 2 more. What is it? Week 13, so 4. Yeah, we have 1 more week this week, and then next week.
Yeah. Yep.
If he does this again next week, where I see that snap percentage continue to rise, and you were stashing him, or maybe you're thin at running back, I could see some flex appeal value there going
So,
into.
so do matchups matter though? I know you and I have had a lot of debates about whether how important matchups are to players, and especially when it comes down to your fantasy championship and your playoffs. He's got the Bears, he's got the Dolphins, and he's got the Bengals. Do those matchups scare you at all, or do those matchups? You got the Bears, who are wow. The Bears are 28th against running backs. You got the Dolphins, who are 10th against running backs, and you have the Bengals, who are 14th against running backs. So that's James Cook and Devin Singletary's playoff schedule. Is that?
Yeah, no concern there. I told you I'm not big on just harping on schedules. One thing I would take into consideration there, yeah, the rushing production might be down, but I think his type of style of play is going to be involved in the passing game. It's going to be the check downs. The 6 catches is what mostly like really excited me, to be honest, more so than, oh, he got 13, 14 carries. That 14 carries is nice, but I like the 6 catches because that's 6 catches for 40 yards. That is, you can plug that right into a back end RB2, RB3 flex play and feel comfortable with that and get no rushing production. So that's what excited me the most. I think I'd be okay with all 3 of those matchups. Again, I want to see it for one more week. And I don't even, it's not even the production. Like I said, I want to see the snap percentage. If next week, in next week's game, it's close to 50-50 again, I will be a little bit more bullish on allowing somebody to go ahead and put James Cook in their playoff fantasy lineup at a flex position.
Okay. I'm taking a look at last week's snap count too. Snap percentage between Singletary and
it wasn't good. It was
it wasn't
18%. Yeah, it wasn't close. That's what I'm saying. He played the most snaps this week, so it's a one anomaly. It's like a one-off. Even the game he had 11 carries last time, he only played 25%. So this is the one-off right now. This is the anomaly. I need to see it again, and then maybe it becomes a little bit more of a trend down the stretch.
Okay. All right. That's it on the Bills running backs here. Let's shift over to on the same team with the wide receiver position here in this game. Obviously, Stephon Diggs did what Stephon Diggs does in terms of fantasy production. He was dominant as usual. Him and Josh Allen, that connection is just so special. It's dominant. If you have that stack, you're definitely gonna be winning some have a shot at winning some leagues. But it's Gabe Davis that I wanted to talk about here because it's becoming more and more noticeable that Gabe Davis may be touchdown dependent when it comes to his production. Last night, Gabe Davis was 2 receptions on 7 targets, which isn't a good number, but he did find the end zone, got him 9 fantasy points last week in PPR leagues. Where are we at with Gabe Davis? Because again, we saw Isaiah McKenzie, who you talked about. He matched Gabe Davis's fantasy output, but no touchdowns on 5 receptions for Isaiah McKenzie. Where are we at with everyone not named Stephon Diggs as a pass catcher for Josh Allen in this Bills offense?
Yeah, I think I've made it very clear where I'm at with Isaiah McKenzie. I do think he's relevant. I like him, and especially the value because of what you've had to invest in him. Like it has been no investment. You can leave him on your bench. You could start him, not start him, put him in a flex play. That's fine. He's probably going to be most of the time a bench player. He's probably a wide receiver 4, mostly a bye week fill-in. Not a whole lot of upside there. Gabe Davis is the guy with tremendous upside, but so much disappointment. We were all excited. I was probably one of the biggest guys, jumping all over the Gabe Davis train this year, saying I thought he was going to ball out because I did think he had a chance to score double-digit touchdowns in that offense. And so much attention is paid to Stephon Diggs that I thought Gabe Davis would be the beneficiary. I'm not going to lie. I'm never starting Gabe Davis. He can't really be dropped. And this is the tough part with a guy like that. His upside is tremendous. He's got a 32-point game this year. He's got a 20-point game this year. He's got a couple, those are the big touchdown days. But when he doesn't score a touchdown, he's just so mind-numbingly boring. I don't want him on my team. I don't. I would have wanted to trade him after probably that week 10 game where he went for 10 targets, 6 catches, 93 yards, and a tutty. I would have probably tried to move him. If you weren't able to move him, you're stuck with just having Gabe Davis on your bench. You can't trust him to start him, and you're not going to be able to move him now because everybody now knows that he's touchdown dependent. And the trade deadline's passed, and There's no trust. He doesn't see enough targets, and even when he gets targets, it doesn't really translate in production. He had 7 targets yesterday. You think Gabe Davis with 7 targets, hey, 5 catches, 80 yards. If he gets in the end zone, great. It's 2 catches, 15 yards. Like, that's not going to cut it. I get it that he got in the end zone. He salvaged his day with the 9 points, but that I can't trust that in the fantasy postseason. I can't.
This is the second time that's happened this season where he had 7 targets and just 2 receptions. Earlier on this year, week 8, he had 7 targets and 2 receptions against the Packers and only put up 5.5 fantasy points. It's becoming more and more that he's a touchdown dependent guy. I have Gabe Davis in one of my leagues, and I did try and trade him, was unsuccessful in trading him. And I'm actually gonna give you it from my perspective and ask you which wide receivers you'd rather have, Gabe Davis or Michael Gallup rest of season.
Michael Gallup, not close.
Gabe Davis, or I know Mecole Hardman's coming back from injury and he's been banged up, but he should be back from IR in week 15. So from week 15 on, Gabe Davis or Mecole Hardman.
That's tough. Mecole Hardman's like the third option, and he's going to be up and down too. To be honest, I probably take Mecole Hardman. I'd rather have him on my roster. I'm probably not starting either one of them.
Okay, Treylon Burks.
Treylon Burks.
Okay, those are just straight up the receivers I have on that team with Gabe Davis, along with the starters that
I would never start Gabe Davis. He can go for 4 touchdowns next week. I'm not starting him the week after.
And he would be my flex. He would be my flex option as well to throw in. But really, it's just wide receivers on that team because I have T. Higgins and Stephon Diggs, which is not bad.
You just can't trust it, and you're gonna get burned. At some point in time, you're going to get burned. We've seen it's too inconsistent. This is not even like when we talk about DK Metcalf in the past or Mike Evans or Mike Williams even in the past of inconsistency. First of all, he's a vertical threat. So a lot of like when we talk about those 7 target games, the vertical threat, it's less percentage of completions, right? You're not getting the same the volume is different because the percentage that you're going to complete a pass like that is less than what it normally is. So you see a lot of 6, 7, 8 target games that turn into 2, 3 reception games. And again, if you don't convert on those big plays, you're strictly looking, hey, can I get a red zone target and get in the end zone? And he does. He's a red zone threat, but 5, 6, 7 touchdowns on the year is not going to give me enough fantasy production for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm buying in on Gabe Davis to be something. I think this is just who he is right now in this offense, and it's what Patrick Peterson said. They only run certain routes with him. Maybe it's an opportunity thing. Maybe it's the offense, but it doesn't matter. It seems to work for Buffalo from a football perspective, but from a fantasy perspective, just not enough value there for me.
We talk about they'll be bringing up Patrick Peterson's name. He's a hot topic lately in the football world.
Hey, call it like you see it.
Hey, that's how it is. That's how it is. That's it for the Bills. And to put a close on the Bills talk here. I did have a wager last night. I did have a missed wager last night. I had a parlay of Stephon Diggs anytime touchdown. That happened. And then the rest did not, I should say.
Told you stop doing them damn parlays, man. How many times I tell you
they
are a sucker bet?
This one was, and I did, and I just bought in, and I shouldn't have, but I really wanted some action on this Thursday night game on the Bills side. Everyone in the studio last night, all of our anchors, all of our analysts were just super high on a big day from Josh Allen. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let it ride with that. I trust that if Josh Allen has a big day, it's gonna be at the benefit of Stephon Diggs. So Stephon Diggs anytime touchdown, and then it was over 280 passing yards for Josh Allen, over 40 rushing yards for Josh Allen, and 25 plus completions for Josh Allen, along with the Diggs anytime touchdown. That was my bet.
I have a question for you. And it's a more personal question. Are you satisfied since we're playing each other this week? Are you satisfied, dissatisfied, or just kind of with Josh Allen's performance?
Dissatisfied.
Did you think you needed more? More?
There is no one on my team. As soon as the game happens, it will not be enough. Until our matchup is over, no one's production will be enough because I don't think it's enough to play. Yeah, come on, man. In reality here, when I'm looking at our matchup, Aaron and you and I have a very big time matchup. We're battling for the first round bye. Pretty much the winner of this game locks it up. No, I'm not satisfied with my Josh Allen stats, but I will say this, and this is the real reason why I'm not satisfied is not I didn't make that trade specifically for this week, but I made that trade with that I sent away Lamar Jackson and I got Josh Allen back along with other things. I was excited because for this week specifically.
And this is the
Josh
number you
Allen
put at Lamar Jackson.
Bingo. It's the exact number that I put at Lamar Jackson. So I was like, okay, now this is what happened. Like this is my karma coming back to me thinking that, okay, I should. And now Lamar Jackson on Sunday will have 25 plus points and I'm looking like a clown because that's what happened.
Well, you were going to look like a clown anyways because of your take on Lamar Jackson. But that's beside the point. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you were going to get to if we're going to gloss over it. That's fine. We can gloss over it. We don't really need to get into our DFS play from yesterday, but I did come in second.
You did. That was impressive.
I almost won if I wouldn't have picked Pierre Strong. Sorry ass. I should have just went with my start, my Nelson Aguilar start, because then I could have had a Tyquan Thornton, and I would have won.
Just know that anyone who had any Patriots last night, you didn't get a touchdown score because their touchdown score came from a defensive player on offense. That's how that happened. So not happy with any Patriot DFS plays. But let's talk about fantasy options, and this can be really quick, Aaron, because I think the answer is as obvious as can be. It's Ramondre Stevenson and everyone else on this Patriots team in terms of fantasy, right? That's the only Patriot you can even consider starting, right?
I don't want any Patriots on my team except for Ramondre Stevenson. Now, Hunter Henry, you can make a case for because he does have some games sometimes where he kind of stands out. But other than that, you can take them all. I don't want any Patriot on my fantasy football team. If I have one, I'm dropping them. I'm dead serious because I'm never playing them. Never playing any of those guys that they spent money on. I don't want them. And this is what I've been saying for 2 years now. The Patriots fans don't want to hear it. I keep telling y'all, and this is not even fantasy football. I still believe in real football. Y'all don't beat nobody. Y'all beat a bunch of teams that are trash, and because you have a good coach, you can win those games. Another game against another quality opponent, another no-show. Mac Jones ain't it. Patriots aren't good. Ramondre Stevenson's the only fantasy option. End of story.
I feel like I know we've shifted gears to a fantasy football show, but I'd be doing us a disservice if I didn't mention just the poor performance from the Patriots offense, like you kind of just alluded to. In terms of fantasy, Ramondre Stevenson, the only relevant one with 13 fantasy points. Mac Jones during that game or during a point in that game was on the sideline caught saying, "Fucking throw the ball. Our run game fucking sucks." Fuck. That's what I got from the lip reading of Mac Jones.
Yeah, he said he came out today and said he lost his cool. No, they don't trust you, Mac Jones. They don't trust you. I've been saying this for 2 years. You're not good enough to be out there yelling, throw the ball. Belichick don't trust you. You threw the ball twice last year in windy conditions against Buffalo and won. And then you're going to say your run game sucks? Your run game's all you got. Your run game is all you got. And when your run game's good, guess what happens? Then you're good because you get play action. Mac Jones needs to stop. Mac Jones ain't good. That's why they ain't throwing the ball. They don't trust you. This ain't Alabama. We can move on.
You're right. That does it, though, for our Monday Night Football recap. We've got wide receiver Thursday Night Football. Whoopsies. That does it for our Thursday Night Football recap between the Bills and the Patriots. Bills defeating the Patriots 24-10. Bills move to 9-3. Patriots move to 6-6. Bills now move into sole possession of the AFC East, waiting on the Dolphins' results this week.